Why bring AI expertise into a connectivity company? Well, that's because Software Toolbox is undergoing a major transformation. They are evolving from being known for best-in-class industrial connectivity into a full-stack industrial AI company, delivering connectivity, data platforms, AI readiness services, and AI agents. So let's see what that looks like and roll the video.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andres Naranjo. I'm the CEO of Software Toolbox. With me is my team, Rod, who is our head of product and technology, and John Gonzalez, who leads our data ops platforms. Today, we are going to solve live 3 problems for you. First, if you have a unified namespace, we're going to extract insight and decision-making from that namespace by connecting to it live and using an AI tool called chatuns.ai. Number 2, if you do not have a unified namespace, we're going to create one that is contextualized, uses Sesame information, uses PLC information, and deploy it live. And number 3, because all of you likely have faced some type of connectivity issue, we're going to troubleshoot live connectivity issues using another AI agent called JohnJohn.ai, which has been affectionately named after our president and founder, John Webb. Let us begin. First, could I get end users to raise their hands? Who do we have here from the manufacturing world? Wonderful. Could you keep your hands up if you have the UNS deployed today at your factory or site? Okay, I saw like a so-so, yes, no. I actually just read a HiveMQ report, said 12% of organizations have a UNS deployed, 30% are considering it, 40% are in pilot. Actually talked to a customer last week that has one, but doesn't know what to do with it. So if you have a UNS and you can follow along in this demo with your phone, and even if you don't have one, you're going to get to experiment on this week. And right now, you can take your phone out and go to chatuns.ai. Chatuns.ai, when you go there, it will ask you very quickly to create an account. We're just going to ask you for some very basic information, and there's a promo code called ProveIt 2026, which will give you access through the month of February, and more importantly, will preload the ProveIt UNS for you. So go ahead, and while you do that, we are going to sign in and get moving. When you log in to ChatUNS, you can connect any UNS via MQTT live on this application. Up there on the top left, if we click right on that, manage, and connect. Sorry, let's click on manage. I just want to make sure we do the whole thing from the start.
And just to add, the folks that are going to be creating an account, that ProveIt UNS, the actual virtual factory, it has been preset for you guys. So you're going to be able to just follow along by just clicking on connect, and it's going to start connecting and discovering all those topics.
As you connect to the UNS, it is going to live import all of the topics, and we worked extra hard so that there is low latency and very high performance. I think when we started, there was about 6,000 topics. We are now north of 20,000 topics. That is going to seamlessly bring everything either to your phone, to your tablet, or to your laptop. This is the part where in the AI world you get a snack while the AI does all the things for you.
This is a little insight of what it actually doing. In a real world scenario, your own UNS might be messy, right? So one of the things that the ProveIt UNS provides is a very messy UNS. What this is doing is not only just discovering the topics, it's trying to create a structure to try to understand exactly what is it that is discovering and about to give you insight about.
Wonderful. Okay, so what you're seeing there is every site, every enterprise, every site, every machine that lives today in the ProveIt UNS has now been loaded for you in this application. All it took was a URL, a user, and a password. That's it. No fancy plumbing. What are we going to go do next? Let's go explore. Let's go to Enterprise A. And the Opto22 folks were just up here. So why don't we click on Opto22? By clicking on Opto22, I am giving this application context. I am telling it, I want to know what is in there. But guess what? I don't even know what to ask Opto22 because I don't know anything about utilities. So one of the major things we've done here is if you press that question mark icon down there, it is going to use the research capabilities of an AI model to suggest what are the hardest operational questions that you should be asking of your UNS. So in about 5 seconds, I hope, a series of questions have started now scrolling here at the bottom. So for example, it is saying, how does compressor 1's total true power compare to compressor 2? Okay, that sounds like fun, interesting to know. You're going to tap on that. One of the reasons we've done this is, in our current state of the world, a human makes 42 mistakes for every 100 words typed. So even typing a question has become hard. So this helps you automate that. If you were on your phone, you just tap on that pill, that question is now on there. All right, immediately this has gone to the UNS. It has done a series of things. It has looked at the data and done a calculation for you on what that could look like. Let's try another question. We could ask it, for example, how much more energy or how much more power is compressor 1 consuming? Yeah, there it is, the question, the type of consuming versus compressor 2. And so you have now used this to contextualize it, suggest the questions, and get an immediate answer. Now, let's take it further. Let's wait for this answer. Perfect. So it's going to give me a differential there, and if I wanted to ask it for suggestions, I could. But let's go back to the UNS Explorer and find another site. In this case, let's just go to Enterprise A, which most by now should be familiar with the Dallas site, and let's click on Dallas. And let's say that I've hired somebody new, and that person just wants to get acquainted with what is in there. They can ask a question such as, can you give me an operational description of this site? Simple starting point. And what this is going to do is it's going to consume the totality of tags and information, anything that is in the JSON payloads, anything that is in the descriptions, and automatically generate for you a synthesis, a data-rich synthesis of what is in the UNS. Again, lots of snacking and lots of caffeine while AI is doing the work for you. And there it is. This one is saying it's a glass container line. Here's roughly what it does. And I could then proceed to ask it any question. For example, can you tell me what is the level of raw material in the batch house? Would be a good question to ask. I was basically living in a juice plant 2 years ago. One of the main reasons that that line got stopped was the raw material ran out upstream in the raw material supply, and the other half of the time was because the guy that drove the forklift did not show up. It had nothing to do with the machines. The machines are made by the Japanese and the Germans, they do not fail. So there's a good example of if you have supply chain data that you're enriching from an MES, from an ERP, you can query that and ask it real questions in one single source. So hopefully this is going to go and look up what's in the batch house, what's in there, what are the levels. Come back to me and say, great, I have some silos. Here are the levels of each of those silos. And now I could ask it, can you tell me when I need to reorder raw material for these silos? Somebody might have not read the manual. Somebody may have simply not know, or just somebody may get asked that question at in a room. And one of the great things that this application does is we have grounded it dramatically so that it doesn't just throw you an answer. If it doesn't find an answer, it will tell you, I have a data gap. There's something I don't know, so that you can go and remediate this data in the backend and bring it forward. In this particular case, I'm hoping it's going to tell you that it cannot calculate it because there are no reorder points set. So if we go up there, it's saying, what I can do, right, is get a reorder rule or tell you what are the levels. So we might ask it, tell me what the reorder, when would I need to reorder if I consume 20% every day?
Reorder what? Yeah. When I consume.
If I am willing to reorder when I consume 20% every day. Let's see what it does. And so there are no limitations whether you're asking it machine questions, site questions, operational questions, or questions specific to a device. We're going to test it pretty hard on a couple of UNS. Great, so it's now done a heuristic. You gave it a heuristic. It's calculated it. Say you wanted to graph that. We have enabled a multimodal model. So if you were to tap that chart, we think dashboards are out. We think generative visualization is in. And so if you were to tap that, it's going to use the best model out there for image generation. And great, it's just made a visualization right there for you, which you can tap and use and reuse. Let's do one last test. Why don't we go to Enterprise C? Let's go to Enterprise C, which I don't really fully understand. And I think it's Chrome. So one of the things we wanted to demonstrate in Enterprise C, so let's ask it again, can you give me an operational description of this site? Because I don't proclaim to have any working knowledge of this particular type of site. And one of the things we've done is we have fed this application a corpus of regulatory content. So in the case of pharma, where you have CFR 121, and in the case of some food and beverage applications where the same applies, we have given this application that type of data so that it can help you, guide you in decisions or things like that. So again, it has described the site for me, roughly what's in there, but we're going to ask it a regulatory specific question, such as, can you point to risk indicators of not being in CFR 121 compliance? CFR 121 compliance.
Yeah, if I may add,
great.
One of the things that we're able to do is have a great pipeline to be able to train this model, to be able to provide more regulations. I know that CFR 21 is one of them, but there's latitudes, regulations that we can definitely continue to train it on.
Okay, so what it tends to do in many of these situations, maybe it's telling you I don't see data for specific events. Some tags are empty. If you keep going down, it cannot find the audit trail, which is critical in CFR 121. Some things are unexplained, secular plausibility issues, etc. All of these things might help you produce a plan to be in compliance. So, to summarize, if you have a UNS, you can go to chatuns.ai today, plug it in via MQTT, and start asking away what are the questions that you need, copying and pasting your answers, or visualizing it. If you do not have a UNS, let's go to the next slide. We are bringing a new capability as part of the software toolbox products that we provide, which is Neuron. Neuron is a data contextualization platform. It basically has data acquisition modules that connect to just about everything, and data delivery modules, such as an MCP server, a DMP server, etc. Works on both Windows and Linux, and we are the distributor for it for the United States of America. Let's see the next one. So, the environment at Neuron looks like this. Now, raise your hand if you've been to a ProveIt demo before and someone's shown you a tool like this. Yeah, my eyes spin, I go crazy, so we're gonna make this one quick. This one is very straightforward. Over here are modules, which are components that help me acquire data. But we're gonna do three things. Number one, we have imported a data model that is the same as the UNS data model of ProveIt. We also have up there, now that has, again, site one, a filling line, a cap loader, all of that. Number two, we're gonna enrich that model with a Sesame Smart manufacturing profile. So one of the great things about Neuron is you can have templates, replicable items that you can replicate across a unified namespace. In this case, what we've done is we have imported from GitHub a Sesame Smart profile that identifies a machine. This is actually a cap loader, a filler, and a washer. You're going to see the details of that in a minute. And no, it does not exist in the current model. And just by dragging and dropping it, we have added that data, or in this case, metadata, to that specific node in the filling line. If I had a great template for what that looks like, I could add it, say, to another filling line. And all it takes is drag and drop. One of the great things about this is simply replicability. Okay, so now I have a UNS, I've added Sesame data to it. One of the things I've been very surprised to see is lack of PLC data. For some reason, none of the UNSs that are present today at ProveIt have any PLC data. I don't really understand why, because no PLC, no data, and no data, no operation. So what we thought we would do is connect to an OPC UA client. We live very firmly in the OPC UA space through our top server product. We're going to find there an object that is a control logics, a PLC. It's got in there a bunch of tags. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they are. We're simply going to take the totality of that and add it to the filling line. So I've taken my OPC server, which was over here, added it to the UNS, and now I have a nicely enriched UNS, which has my line, my site, my line, my machines, and not only do I have Sesame machine metadata, but actual PLC information. What we're going to do now is publish this thing in one last click over to the ProveIt UNS. And so again, what we wanted to show you is how easy it is to simply take this platform, unify multiple data sources. You will note there it had connectors to pretty much everything. So if you wanted to add ERP data to that, if you wanted to add historian to that, anything with an MCP server, all of that is clicks. And one of the wonderful things about it is simply the ability to templatize things and copy and paste. So you may have a great definition, for example, for one site and export that to another site. Okay, now we're going to refresh the unified namespace that we connected to earlier, and hopefully, if this works, which it should. There it is, with the Sesame machine identification. Let's give it a second to refresh in the application. Okay, why do we want to do this is the main question. One of the things that we do for a living is solve thorny connectivity problems. And so if you're able to bring forward your connectivity information, simply what type of PLC you have, what type of device you have, one of the things that we have done in our application is add a full knowledge base of all the support cases we've ever had of our knowledge base. So that if your controls engineers are trying to troubleshoot connectivity issues, this can give it straightforward answers on how to do it. So again, we want to make sure we don't fake it here. We want to make sure we prove it. So we've disconnected from the UNS. We're going to reconnect to it to ensure that you can see the software toolbox UNS. And we're going to ask it to solve some hard control logics, I guess, the control logics some connectivity problems. It's 20,000 topics, so it might take 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, I will say it's been great to see all the vendors pushing all their topics to this UNS that ProveIt has provided for us. Man, it started with 4,000 topics. Now we're talking about 20,000 topics. So every time that people keep pushing more data, it's trying to figure out how to be able to contextualize that data in a way that is insightful for you as the user to make sure that you're getting answers that are going to help you with what you need.
There it is, Software Toolbox. All right, so this is published successfully, took a minute, and we have built in 3 minutes a UNS, added Sesame data, added PLC data, and if you click, yeah, there's a washer. No. There it is. Okay, wonderful. And it has in there the controller, correct?
But in this one, you want to talk about the Bradley or
Yeah, the Allen Bradley, yeah.
just this one?
Okay, perfect. So, again, we could take the same approach, ask it any questions, etc. Last part of the ProveIt. Let's ask it some hard connectivity questions. If you take your phone and you go to johnjohn.ai, which again is part of ChatUNS, then the application defaults to connectivity mode. It is no longer defaulted to answering your questions, getting your data, but it is purposely knows that you are trying to solve a connectivity problem. So let's pick one. Let's pick one. We were going to literally live get one of the issues that we had today. And so this is very strongly tied to our suite of products: Top Server, Cogent Data Hub, which I'm in front of here, OmniServer, OPC Router, will pretty much work for any of the major, 140, 150 drivers that are out there, and it has the full history of Software Toolbox's support cases. So if you find a problem that it can't solve, we'd love to hear what that is. We have been testing it ourselves, and this is how we resolve a lot of our support cases now. So if you go up, we asked it a question there around, go back up, I didn't see. Oh yeah, okay, I just asked it a generic question. Top 5 connectivity issues I see with Allen Bradley. It's going to tell you what it has seen based on our distribution. You can keep on going from there. It might suggest sources. So some of these are our sources, or from our help desk. It's incredible. If you paste an error code, it will tell you what the error code is and what the suggested fix is. And the easiest thing is if you have controls engineers that are on the floor today facing connectivity issues, all they need to go is go to johnjohn.ai, copy and paste the error, and this will give them a solution. We have taken the time, which has typically been around 2 hours, all the way down to 15 minutes to resolve some of these issues.
All right. One of the great things that we have been able to do with johnjohn.ai is that we were able to train it as how our engineers think on how they're going to be able to engage with you guys and any automation labor personnel. So when you see at the end, it's asking you very specific questions. These are the typical questions that sometimes you guys forget to say to us, but that's definitely what we always try to achieve for, to be accurate on that solution.
If you have a UNS, you can go to chatuns.ai. The promo code is ProveIt2026. It is preloaded in the sign up. Even if you use it this week, you will have the preloaded unified namespace from ProveIt, and you can ask it questions and see how it will work. Okay? After that, typically it is $125 per site per month for up to 5 users. So you have a team that needs to be getting insight, needs to get questions answered. This is a great fit for them. Number 2, if you need to build a unified namespace, then the course of action we would suggest is Neuron. That has both a gateway and the data ops hub, which is what you saw. That is priced on a subscription per month, and it comes by modules. So it includes up to 50 modules. Those are all the ways in which you can acquire data. If you go the Neuron route, we will include ChatUNS. So I really like it when we say, nobody sees the plumbing, everybody sees the paint job. Neuron is the plumbing, but ultimately the application you will end up using is ChatUNS. So I want to make sure that you have that right off the bat. Lastly, if you are a valued customer and you use Top Server, OPC Router, Cogent Data Hub, or any of the major products that deal with OPC servers, tunneling, bridging, then as part of your support agreement, you'll be getting JohnJohn.ai. Also, in the next few weeks, you're welcome to use it and see how good it is at troubleshooting connectivity issues. And that is the demo. Thank you all.
That was incredible. Thank you guys for your presentation. While you guys are doing that, I actually have a question for you.
Fire away.
So I work exclusively in the life science industry, so they are very particular about their intellectual property. If you're going to use JohnJohn, is there any way to kind of prevent keeping their IP from just going into your back-end database or your storage or being shared with anyone else?
Yeah, great question. So we do get that a lot. So two things to say. First, none of the information that is being received is ever used to train or retrain or do any of that, much like you would do in ChatGPT, because it doesn't really matter to us. Second, in a situation where somebody has very strict policies, for example, we talked to some oil and gas clients, we would typically do an enterprise deployment. So what that means is that a lot of those, whatever their particular compliance policies, we would island it to fit exactly that. So that's how that would work. I do encourage, I came from the AI world and the cloud world, I do encourage people to take their data out to dance. Sometimes I feel like data is a bit like the car that's sitting in a garage or the dress that nobody wore. And so for a lot of things, I tell my team a lot, like in '99 we didn't put credit cards on the internet, and when the cloud came along, we can't put customer information in the cloud. Everybody has Salesforce by now, so more and more I encourage folks to use the power of the cloud because that's where the commute is. But if it is a hard constraint, then enterprise deployment is the way.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, as my role as MC, I do have to ask you one question. Maybe I missed it. I think you did a great job of explaining the problems you solved, and it was all very fast. But what kind of price range are we talking here for what we saw today?
Yeah. Let's pull it up. If you go back one slide.
Perfect.
Yeah. So for ChatUNS, right? ChatUNS is an application. It assumes you have a UNS ready. That is like you go, you sign up like ChatGPT, and it's $125 per month. Right now, it doesn't have a token limit. If we find someone out there that is just really effective at hitting it all day long, then we'd love to chat. But right now, in the early testing, people are, they have pointed questions, and that includes up to 5 users because teams are usually, of that composition. So that's what you would expect to pay for that. For Neuron, so Neuron is a big data ops platform that we sell on a subscription basis. That is $12.75 a month. And it includes 50 modules. A module is basically something that acquires data. So that can be a DMP server, Modbus, Backnet, whatever it is. We do that on a subscription basis. Again, we try to encourage folks to buy more tech, to buy a full stack of technology versus one big piece of technology that's going to get dust over many years. And then lastly, JohnJohn.ai for the folks that purchase Top Server, OPC Router. So Top Server, to give you a sense, for the full set of drivers is about $3,600, and that would come as part of a service and support agreement. So that's roughly where the pricing is.
Awesome. Okay. I love the transparent pricing.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have another question for our less digitally maybe mature sites or those who are scared of the internet, like you say. Does this work if somebody only had a local on-prem broker, or is this exclusively a cloud solution?
So right now the early stages, it is cloud solution. We're trying to package it to be able to provide any on-prem solution as well. So it is not accessible right now, but that is the plan, to be able to package these so you can actually run it on your local network and be able to connect to your enclosed units.
By the way, somebody said, holy shit, Software Toolbox went to the future and came back with great tech. Whoever said that, a year later. But we do encourage, or are trying to encourage, the move to the cloud. Okay? To be completely transparent with everyone, when great features are put in the cloud, that typically moves organizations to go and consume that. So we're trying to cut your time to decision making, cut your time to insight dramatically. I used to work with a plant manager in Mexico. At the end of every month, this poor guy, he had to extract Excel, do pivot tables, make a PowerPoint report. These are like the worst 2 weeks of his life, okay? The worst 2 weeks of his life. This thing takes all of that away, right? He lives at the edge too, just at the edge of a room where he is being pulled in. So we're hoping to deliver that kind of value in the cloud so that it'll motivate you to get some data up there and use it.
All right, another question we have from the audience. Can the chat UNS be customized to use our own API endpoint for large language models?
Great question. Absolutely something that we're looking into. We are very aware that many of your organizations probably already negotiated workloads with some of the large cloud providers. And so, yeah, we'd be willing to look into that as part of our enterprise deployment. Part of us giving you good answers is giving models good system prompts, good context prompts, figuring out which model does a better job at what. Some models do a better job at computing analysis, some models do a better job of synthesizing. One model for sure does a better job at creating images. So sometimes just swapping you to your model may not get you the results. So yeah, we are open to looking at those things in an enterprise deployment. Our initial focus is to get you models that work for the task. Models that work for the task. Especially now we no longer live in a world really where one single model does everything. The models are more and more do certain things. But open to exploring that. Just come see us at the booth, come see me, come see Rod. Happy to discuss that. If we have top server, can we auto-feed logs it generates to johnjohn.ai so it can analyze any ongoing issues and provide an alert? I believe the answer is yes. I believe the answer is yes. Customers have been sending us logs, error messages, screenshots. We just put them on there. Response time from this to this. So yeah.
All right, next question. Can you model data from the OPCUA companion specifications like PAC-ML and MT-Connect?
I'm going to let Rod take that.
Yeah, so I think in particular here, when we're talking about modeling data, we're talking about Neuron. Neuron has very powerful scripting APIs that allows us to do that. I think that's pretty much how we were able to do the Sesame profiles. The Sesame profiles are nothing more than a JSON schema, right? So yeah, we should be able to do that as well.
There's a great question at the bottom, by the way. Can ChatUNS utilize, does ChatUNS, sorry, John, utilize proprietary knowledge for RAG? So the answer is yes. 3 years ago, when LLMs launched, the major problem was hallucination. That's why the main application was creative composition. We have grounded all of that in the corpus of our support tickets, in the corpus of our knowledge base, so that it is always getting you an answer for a real answer for a real problem. So yes, we are absolutely using internal data for RAG. That data is anonymized, so that data does not contain any client information. It is technical data. There was a problem, there was a solution, this was the controller, this was the version, and that's what it's doing.
So we have another question kind of on the security aspect again. They thought it was cool that you browse the Octo22 namespace. Is there any security configuration in your side to restrict topic access, or would that be something that it's on the end user to do that with the broker, saying only this many topics can be accessed by John?
Great question, and you've already given the answer. We find that a lot of people tend to restrict that at the broker level. Yeah, we have not yet worked on profiles. Something we could do later. What we see typically is there are controls teams or digital transformation teams. There's 4, 5, 6, 7 people there. Generally, they try to unencrypt the information flow at this level to all get answers. So we're trying to enable that. We definitely don't want to have, there's Windows access, data access, broker access. By the time you get to here, then there is nothing. So yeah, this one does not manage profiles in its current state, but it could down the line if it is a real problem.
So while you guys were having a lot of fun doing this challenge, did your agents make any interesting discoveries or find any anomalies in the virtual factories?
Yeah.
We can go back and play around, but go for it.
The great thing we're seeing is pretty much actually seeing the support team that you guys interact with on the daily, being able to use it and being able to answer questions much quicker. In the past, if you guys do your own troubleshooting, you'll know how longer it takes you to do this. One of the great things that this being able to expedite is how fast we can respond to you, not only with a competent response, but also an actual solution. So that's been awesome to do that. As far as the focus is trying to help you troubleshoot your connectivity issues. As far as chat UNS, it helped us understand the actual UNS for ProveIt. Because when he started, it was just 3 enterprises, A, B, and C, right? And then we saw Avalera. I mean, Dylan was pumping 10,000 topics to this thing, and it was pretty awesome to crawl through it and using chat UNS to be able to understand exactly what each one of them were doing. That's why we kind of landed in Opto 22, because they were actually doing a killer of a job with their data and providing a lot of power description of consumption, total power usage, all that. So
So a few examples, and again, I encourage you, just go sign up on your phone. So I was looking, for example, at the compressors and actually asking it, like, what can we do to reduce the energy consumption in one of the compressors? Came up with a full plan. It said actually, like, leaks. It had a whole plan for how to address leaks. In the compliance issues on Enterprise C, it came up specifically with what are the list of likely risk markers for compliance. We didn't talk about Enterprise B. Enterprise B is really spotty. Line 1 or Site 1 is very good at OEE information, and then Site 2 and Site 3 are not, so it has a data remediation plan. So it'll go in the direction that you take it. Again, one of the important things is computers do what you tell them to do, not what you want them to do. So that's why we have suggested questions at the bottom. So I would always urge you to start there, because we have it starting itself or initializing with a specific role that's going to kind of take you in that direction of finding some of the issues. But have at it for the rest of the week. I think you're going to find some really, really interesting things in there.
So let's say people are having fun with the chat feature. If it generated any dashboards, can that be shared? Is that a feature yet? Or
In this case, the sharing would be you download an image and send it over an email or test it. That's up to the policies of your organization and how you choose to distribute that. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, another question. Is this a custom LLM or is it using one of the other providers? I'm guessing they're asking, is this like an OpenAI, Claude?
Yeah, no. So we're using model routing to go to different types of LLMs. For sure, we're using the latest OpenAI 5.2 and other models. Yeah. We're not using
Open Router.
Open Router. Yeah. We are not using any Chinese model. We are not using DeepSeek or anything like that. Yeah.
All right, this might be our last
By
question.
the way, the architecture question I find comes up quite a lot. So as a Silicon Valley the last 3 years, we're using all the good stuff. So models, Open Router, Pinecone, Redis on cache storage, on Vector. Vercel is for the hosting. So we got a lot of good ingredients, no hyperscalers.
But I will add that Open Router is going to be our feature, because we want to give the flexibility if somebody likes different type of answers. That's definitely what we're. Right now, we want to make sure this thing works and it's going to provide value for the end user.
And you can incorporate in cost management, right?
Correct.
This is a low value question, therefore use a cheaper LLM.
Correct.
Right? If it's a high value question, then go ahead.
Exactly.
Let's spend the money on high cost
Yeah.
reasons.
I think once you get to consistent low-value questions, you just have cache, right? You're just caching questions all day long, specifically for answers. Now, one of the things that is happening soon, so again, we want to make sure people this week can actually use it, which is why we preloaded it. Again, if you go with ProveIt code, it'll load it up. There is an agent mode on it, which is you go to sleep, and then the next morning, it's got a digest for you, so it scans the UNS, it summarizes what are the things that it found based on those operational questions. This is the same for John and the same for Chat UNS. It's just scanning what are potential issues that you have and giving you a digest in the morning. So again, we really believe in the AI should be working for you. And so you should go to bed and wake up in the morning and be like, okay, these are the things that are wrong or that I should be looking at, or I didn't ask it what is OEE, because I think everybody's probably going to ask it what is OEE this week, so you guys can go ahead and do that, but it obviously does that, so you're good.
Incredible, thank you.
Thank you.
So we
What else?
have, I think we've run out of time for Q&A. So if you have any other questions, I highly encourage you to go to your booth. What's your booth number again?
16.